Hello there everyone, how you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/am I the butthole, where we're playing judge, jury, and executioner on whether or not people are buttholes or not. Now if you enjoy today's stories, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below and all that wonderful stuff. Now let's get started, shall we? Am I the butthole for uninviting 25 family members to my wedding 6 weeks to showtime? I have this Halloween wedding planned for 2 years. The venue I wanted has a wait list. All of a sudden, my mom and grandma decided this wedding was satanic and want me to make last-minute changes. I told my mom and grandma a firm no. 2 years my family has known about this, and because I have told them, no, half my mom's side thought they'd be cute and say they aren't coming in a random-ass power struggle. I told them fine and canceled everyone's invitations who complained or backed my mom or grandma on this. One of my sisters acted like she stepped out of bridesmaid duty, so I replaced her. It was about 25 people that decided to act dumb at less than the 6-week mark. So I set out an uninvited invitation, and I sent out new QR codes for those attending, and the venue will check in, but only have those people let in. My aunt, who was one of the uninvited, told me people are allowed to disagree with me, and that doesn't mean I can pull an invitation from a wedding that they have already made plans to attend. I told my aunt they had 2 years for complaints, but saying you're not going at 6-week mark before my wedding is BS, and everyone screwed around, and everyone found out. I will not be bullied by my own family about this. Not the butthole. It sounds like a blast. Which bride are you dressing as? OP responds, a light blue corpse bride dress, and then I'm gonna have light blue hair. That's wonderful, OP. I hope you have a great time. Am I the a-hole for demanding that my niece or her parents pay me back for the hundreds of dollars of perfume she stole from me? I have a perfume collection that I started when I was a teenager, slinging burritos as my first job. I have over 400 bottles at this point. I take great pride in my collection, and I use it. I am also happy to give people decants, also known as samples, of most of my bottles. Let them sample a spray or two, give some bottles out as a gift, and so on. What I have a huge issue with is when my 17-year-old niece came home under the guise of walking my dog, decanting bottles on her own and selling the samples to her little friends. She thinks that because I have so many bottles, I wouldn't notice some missing, or getting massive dents in them. Well, little Miss Entrepreneur failed to realize that her private Instagram wasn't friends only, or whatever, and I saw each and every effing story, with each price and sample she had. I tallied all of that up and got a pretty good estimate based on cost per ounce. Thankfully, she mostly picked the TikTok famous perfumes, like Bianco Latte and Escapade Gomade, and didn't go for the most rare niche perfumes. She did snatch an entire 2.5-ounce bottle of Barakat Rogue, though, which runs $300 and more at most retailers, as well as full bottles of perfume you can get at Sephora, like Marc Jacobs Daisy Burberry Her Elixir, Flower Bomb, and so on. Petty or not, I printed out the entire list of what she'd taken, price estimate, and I handed it over to my sister, her mom. I said that I expect to be paid back in full, and of course her sneaky little butt is never allowed in my home again. My sister got super angry with me, going on about how my niece is just a kid, kids make mistakes. I say yes, kids make mistakes, and this is a great way for my niece to learn from hers. Their argument is that now the money she was going to use for a car has to go towards paying me back. I don't care. She's lucky that I have no interest in involving the police, small claims, or any of that. But am I the butthole because she's a teenager? She's just a kid who created a successful business enterprise selling stolen property, not the a-hole. Am I the butthole for making my pregnant sister-in-law cry when she kept asking why I changed my name? My brother is married to Haley and they're expecting a baby together. Last year, I officially changed my first name from Evelyn to Indy, which was a nickname from my original middle name. My parents gave in after realizing how serious I was about being Indy and how I was not warming up or growing into Evelyn. My brother and Haley want an older/vintage name for their baby, and Haley asked me about 5 months ago why I disliked Evelyn enough to change my name. At the time, she brought up how popular the name has become and how vintage it is. I told her I didn't like vintage names, and to me it sounded really old-fashioned. I told her the popularity did not influence my decision. She wanted to know my reason for disliking older names, and why I liked something like Indy instead. I don't mind her asking this, the first time at least. She brought it up again a week later, and she asked the same question and pressed more for why. She asked a third and a fourth time, and I gave her the same answer, and asked her why she kept asking me. I told her my answer wasn't going to change. By the seventh time, she admitted that she was worried her baby would hate having an older name, and wanted to figure out what she could do to prevent what happened with me happening to her. She also said she'd like me to rethink my name because she thought Evelyn was beautiful and she was sad I'd chosen something like Indy over it. I asked her to stop so many times already, and I even asked my brother to stop her. He told me I needed to understand it was the hormones. I can easily say she has asked me this more than 25 times by now. I'm not exaggerating that number either. 2 weeks ago, when she brought it up again, she felt like I had made a mistake changing my name, and how 30-year-old me wouldn't be so against Evelyn. I told her 30-year-old me can deal with it if that happens. She told me I didn't have a good reason to like the name, and Indy seemed like the kind of name someone young likes, but not someone older. Then yesterday it happened, and I lost my temper. She started out asking the same stuff, and the baby is almost ready to be born, so I know it's coming to an end. But she asked me to really think about why and help her because she couldn't figure out what she'd do differently than my parents did. And then she said she really shouldn't have let me change my name so young. I snapped, and I told her to stop asking me the same question because my answer won't change, and her comments are not changing my mind because I don't like old-fashioned names. I told her I think they're awful, and I'm sick and tired of hearing about how much better they are and having her try to make me find a reason she finds acceptable. I told her, just like she hates Indy, I hate Evelyn, and she needs to let it go already. She burst into tears, and my brother got so mad at me. My parents were also like, "Why did I have to speak to her so harshly? Am I the butthole?" If you reacted like this at the very first time she asked, then you'd be a bit of an asshole. But after months of her asking you the same thing over and over, your reaction is justified. I hate the "you must understand it's the pregnancy hormone" spiel about being pregnant. It doesn't give you a free pass to be a butthole, not the asshole. On to our last story for the day. Am I the a-hole? I told my mother-in-law that's all on her. My 5-year-old son's birthday is coming up, and he wants a chocolate cake with chocolate icing. It's his birthday, so I said yes. My mother-in-law can be a selfish cow sometimes, and my son was telling her how he's getting chocolate cake and chocolate ice cream. My mother-in-law said she doesn't like that, and my SO should get something we all like. My son said, "It's not your birthday, you don't get a say." This would normally be disrespectful, but recently I said this to my son when went to his friend's party, when my son didn't like the cake flavor, and we had the discussion about how the birthday person gets to choose their cake flavor because it's their special day. My mother-in-law was shocked, and I told her the same thing I told my son. When it's your birthday, you can get whatever flavor of cake you want. My mother-in-law called me a witch with a B in the front instead of a W, and my son a spoiled brat. So I told her, with that attitude, you won't be coming to the party. My husband was like WTF and tried to talk to me into ordering his mom a cake she would enjoy after our son, and I was rude to her. I said no, it isn't her day, and just teaches our son to act entitled at other people's parties if we don't stick to the rules and etiquette that we explained to him. And this would just make him confused, entitled, and spoiled. My husband saw the truth in that because our son was excited about his birthday cake for his birthday, and now understands that not everything is about him. Other people get to enjoy their special event how they want to. In return, my son gets to enjoy his special event and occasions how he wants to. My mother-in-law doesn't seem to get that and wants my son to write her a sorry note and what he did wrong. My husband and I don't feel like my son did anything wrong by repeating what his parents told him. My mother-in-law says she's not coming to the birthday party or getting him a gift without the apology note. And I told my mother-in-law that's all on her. Not the asshole, but why is your husband not sticking up for you and your son? He's equally guilty for that. OP responds, my husband didn't know the backstory of why my son said that. He wasn't at his friend's party a few months ago when I took my son aside and talked to him about hating the cake flavor. Ah, that makes sense. A little bit of context goes a long way in some stories, you know what I'm saying? That's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below or I'm gonna have to steal your kneecaps. And go like a oink. Anyway, I will see you all next time. Hasta la pasta.